For several hours on May 19, 2024, the world did not know where the president of Iran was. No official confirmation, no clear information, only one disturbing message spreading across news agencies. The helicopter carrying the president had disappeared.
Like in
Inside
medicine,
that helicopter
agriculture, oil,
was
gas.
Ebrahim Raisi, the president of Iran, one of the most powerful political figures in the Middle East. Only hours earlier, Raisi had been smiling for cameras near the border between Iran and Azerbaijan. The visit looked routine, a diplomatic ceremony, a handshake between leaders, the opening of a major infrastructure project. Nothing suggested that within hours, the president would vanish into the mountains. But that is how many political tragedies begin. Quietly, without warning. And before the world even understands what is happening, events begin to spiral out of control. For decades, Iran had been led by a system designed to appear stable and controlled. Presidents came and went, but power remained within a tightly structured political framework dominated by the supreme leader and powerful institutions. Yet Raisi was not just another politician. He was widely considered one of the most influential figures inside Iran's political elite. Some analysts even believed he could eventually succeed the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, which made the disappearance of his helicopter far more than an aviation emergency. It instantly became a national crisis. Because when the leader of a country disappears, even temporarily, uncertainty spreads quickly. Inside government institutions, inside security forces, and across the international community. At first, Iranian state television tried to remain calm. Reports described a hard landing. Officials spoke cautiously. Search teams were dispatched. But hours passed. The helicopter still had not been located, and the mountains of northwestern Iran were becoming darker as night approached. To understand why Raisi's disappearance shocked Iran so deeply, it is important to understand who he was. Born in 1960 in the holy city of Mashhad, Raisi built his career inside Iran's powerful religious and judicial institutions. He was not known as a charismatic public speaker. He was known as something else: loyalty to the system. Over the years, he held several key positions inside Iran's judiciary. His rise through the ranks was steady and deliberate. Eventually, he became head of the country's judicial system. From there, his path toward the presidency became possible. In 2021, Raisi won Iran's presidential election and took office during one of the most difficult periods in the country's modern history. Iran faced heavy international sanctions. Economic pressure was growing, and political tensions across the Middle East remained high. Despite these challenges, Raisi's presidency strengthened his influence inside the political establishment. Many observers began to see him as part of Iran's future leadership. That is why his final trip on May 19th seemed so ordinary. It was a diplomatic visit with Azerbaijan's president to inaugurate a new dam project on the border between the two countries. The event was carefully organized. Security was tight. Multiple helicopters were used for transportation. Everything appeared routine. But sometimes, history changes direction during moments that seem completely ordinary. 3 helicopters departed the ceremony that afternoon. 2 arrived safely at their destination. 1 did not. When the helicopter failed to reach its destination, Iranian authorities quickly realized the situation was serious. The region where the aircraft had been flying is one of the most difficult terrains in Iran. High mountains, dense forests, sudden weather changes, And on that day, heavy fog covered much of the landscape. Search teams were deployed almost immediately. Military units joined the effort. Rescue teams began moving through the mountains. But the conditions made everything harder. Visibility was extremely low. Temperatures were dropping, and communication with the helicopter had been completely lost. As the hours passed, concern grew across the country. Iranian citizens watched the news late into the night, waiting for updates. International media began reporting the story. Governments across the region followed the situation closely. Because if the president of Iran had truly been lost in the mountains, the political consequences could be enormous. For nearly an entire night, hope remained. Officials refused to confirm the worst. Perhaps the helicopter had made an emergency landing. Perhaps survivors were waiting for rescue. But the silence from the mountains continued. And with every hour, the reality became harder to ignore. Early the next morning, rescue teams finally found what they had been searching for. The wreckage of the helicopter was discovered in a mountainous forest area. The aircraft had crashed into the hillside. The damage was severe. There were no survivors. Among the victims were several senior officials, including President Ebrahim Raisi and Iran's foreign minister. The announcement quickly spread across the world. Iran had suddenly lost its president in one tragic moment. Investigations later suggested that difficult weather conditions, especially thick fog and poor visibility, played a major role in the disaster. But the political shock was immediate. According to Iran's constitution, the vice president temporarily assumed the responsibilities of the presidency. New elections had to be organized. Yet beyond the legal procedures, the emotional and political impact of the crash was profound. Raisi had been one of the most powerful figures in the country. His sudden death reshaped the political landscape overnight. Moments like this remind us how quickly history can change. One flight, one mountain valley, one tragic accident. And suddenly, an entire nation finds itself facing an uncertain future. Because sometimes the course of history is not decided in parliaments or elections. Sometimes it is decided in the final moments of a single flight.